I was a food columnist of sorts when I was working for Food for Thought, but that was really me sending me out on assignments. So I wasn't in charge of the stories as much. And, you know, we worked quite heavily back and forth to shape the piece to make it what it needed to be for that publication. If you know what 18 Bridges is, it's a literary magazine. It's very essayistic. It's, you know, I don't know how to describe it, but literary, contemporary, Canadian fiction and non-fiction.
You nailed it. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. So, I was trying to figure out how I was going to fit in. So as a food writer, what could I contribute to a literary magazine? That was, I guess, my first hurdle. I was lucky enough to have been given a column, which is very nice. How many people here have columns or have had a column? Yeah, it's rare. It's like you get to be in the magazine every time it gets published. It comes with some pressure, though.
You have to be in the magazine.
Sorry?
Because you have to be in the magazine every time.
You have to be, exactly. You can't kind of say, well, I got no ideas for you, sorry. You have to have ideas. I wanted to figure out how to be a food columnist in a literary magazine, and it was a national magazine, so I wasn't going to talk about micro trends in Edmonton or, but I do like to focus on Edmonton because I like to be subversive and put Edmonton on the national map, on the conversation when we're talking about food nationally. And also it could have been a consumer, just a general consumerism type column. And sometimes I veer into that as well. So I needed to figure out my approach. And I really didn't have much to go on, this being my first column, and I wasn't stepping into an existing column. Understanding what a magazine is was helpful to me when I was thinking about how to do my column. So it's not daily news, it's not reporting strictly, but there was an element of wanting to be newsy. Like magazines are always trying to be on trend and trying to be trendsetters. So I had to think about how I was going to represent that in the column. And we're not books either, so there's not the luxury of taking a long time to think through things. So you have to be well thought out, you have to be on trend, but you can't be probably first to the news story. So you have to make it interesting somehow. And how I decided I would make things interesting was I would think very critically about certain topics that we might take for granted in food. And that was sort of my take on how I was going to approach the column. One of the pains of being a columnist, especially a food columnist, we are almost always at the back of the magazine. So people have read through the juicy, fun stuff at the beginning, and then they get the nice features which have beautiful art direction, and then they get to the columns and we're mostly text, right? So we really have to fight for readers to stay with the magazine for one more section at the back. So I always feel like I really have to fight for readership, and as a columnist and as a food columnist near the back of the book. I decided that what my job was going to be, because I got to decide that was really cool. I got to, write my own job description for this. I was going to take daily or mundane or seemingly broad food topics and really turn them on their heads, because that's what I really like to do, and comment on them. Often I'm bringing words of caution and restraint to crazy food trends, like in my bacon column, which was about this overdose that we're doing on bacon everything, with bacon deodorant, bacon lipstick, bacon coffins, bacon funerals, bacon weddings, you name it. So now sounds like I'm complaining, but I will recap what the pain of being a columnist is. It's a short feature. Essentially, you have to do everything that you would do in a fully fledged magazine piece, but you've got about 1,500 words, and you're probably just limited to one photo and a good headline and text. And you have to choose a topic that, after you write it for 2 or 3 weeks, hopefully it pans out and you're not scooped by some other food writer in the city publishing on a monthly basis or whatnot. And you also get less editorial feedback. So that's one thing about writing a column, is you're a little bit on your own. know, the features probably get more back and forth, I'm assuming, from the editorial staff. And, you know, I just send my stuff in, it goes through 2 or 3, you know, back and forth, and then boom, we're in, so. But there's a lot of good things about having a column. I have a spot in a really great magazine, and it's kind of my spot until I blow it bad enough that I lose it. And I'm the appointed authority. Like, I've been appointed as the authority on, you know, food or consumption by the editors of the magazine. And that frees me up to just get to the point. Like, I don't have to do any razzle-dazzle and impress anyone with any credentials or food words. I can really just get to the point there. And a column also gives me a little bit of a chance to think about things that probably wouldn't get the attention of an editor. You know, like I want to write an article about toast. If it's my column, I may not be able to write an article on toast, but I have some great ideas. Because where there's smoke, there's toast in my house. I don't think I've ever made a piece of toast the first time ever. It's called checking your email, and you burn through about 4 pieces of toast in the morning. Anyways, there's lots that can be said on toast, gluten-free toast, you know, all sorts of stuff. And I like to make the daily and the mundane interesting again.